Good afternoon, my name is Sonia Lowen and I'm the Chairman of Debating SA, so welcome to today's Grand Final. We're honoured to be here today and it seems fitting that we're here in this august chamber for our Grand Finals. Helen Keller said, "Character cannot be developed in ease and quiet. Only through experience of trial and suffering can the soul be strengthened, ambition inspired and success achieved." And I think that's a very fitting quote for the work that both teams have done throughout the season to get here. So the young people about to debate have shown such character in order to come to this point. I want to give a big thank you to all the parents and coaches who support the endeavours of these young people. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the 2024 Year 9 Division, Debating SA Grand Final Debate. My name is Evie Parish and I am the chairman of this debate. The timekeeper is Evie Monago O'Brien. The topic of this debate is that immigration is good for Australia. The affirmative team, seated to my right, is from St Aloysius College, consisting of the first speaker, Leila Morales, second speaker, Saatchi Siraj, and third speaker, Gianna Diaz. The negatives team, seated to my left, is from Norwood International High School, consisting of the first speaker, Fatima Rizwan, second speaker, Tamara Janal, and third speaker, Claire Lee. This grand final debate will be judged by a panel of 5 adjudicators, who are Ms. Liliana France, Ms. Zani Jihan, Mr. Tony Huey, Ms. Chelsea Harana, and Mr. Jonathan Pasalidis. The speaking time of this debate is 5 minutes. A single warning bell will sound at 4 minutes, and a double bell will sound at 5 minutes. A continuous bell may be rung 30 seconds after the speaking time, in which case the speaker must sit down immediately. Please switch off your mobile phones and other electronic devices. I declare this debate open and call upon the first affirmative speaker, Leila Morales.
Good afternoon, Madam Chairman, ladies and gentlemen. The topic for our debate is that immigration is good for Australia. We define the topic as immigration, meaning the process of moving to a new country with the intention of permanently living there. We define good as an action that positively impacts individuals and society, characterised by its benefits, ethical foundation, inclusivity, and ability to enhance overall well-being. Australia is the 6th largest country, located in the Southern Hemisphere, and is known for being the most successful multicultural country on earth. The phrase that immigration is good for Australia refers to the idea that permanent relocation of people to Australia positively affects the economy and cultural diversity, ultimately benefiting the country. We, the affirmative team, assert with strong conviction that immigration is not only valuable but essential for Australia, and therefore firmly believe that this statement is true. Today, I will address the economic contributions from immigrants, highlighting their ambition to embark on entrepreneurial ventures and their crucial role in our workforce. I will also discuss the significant impact immigrants have on our nation by creating a more vibrant and dynamic society. Our second speaker, Saatchi, will expand on how immigration is essential to support Australia's ageing population. She will then discuss how immigration builds bridges between nations and cultures, fostering global connections and relationships. Our third speaker, Gianna, will rebut the opposition and summarise our team case. Firstly, immigration plays a pivotal role in shaping and driving the Australian economy by contributing to taxes, entrepreneurial ventures, and filling labour shortages. According to the Australian Bureau of Statistics, as of 2023, over 30% of the population in Australia, approximately 8.2 million individuals, were born overseas. This substantial proportion underscores the integral role that immigrants play in Australia's economic landscape. The Australian Migration Council projects that by 2050, immigration will contribute a staggering $11.6 trillion to Australia's gross domestic product. This forecast highlights the significant role that immigrants will continue to play in Australia's economic prosperity. In particular, immigrants enhance our country's economy as they successfully partake in entrepreneurial ventures. The Australian government highlights how small businesses further the economy by a remarkable $506 billion. According to Amos Australia, 1/3 of Australian small businesses are operated by foreign-born individuals. This highlights attributes of innovation, resilience, and ambition brought by immigrants. The Global Entrepreneurship Studies reveals that immigrants are more likely to embark on business ventures than their native counterparts. Moreover, immigrants play a crucial role in our workforce. Recently, Australia has been experiencing skill shortages across various sectors. Immigrants not only fill the gaps, but enhance our workforce, infusing it with new perspectives that drive innovation and growth. A 2021 study by the Committee for Economic Development of Australia reveals that 41% of STEM workforce is foreign-born. This significant presence highlights how immigrants are essential in pushing the boundaries of technological and scientific progress. As we look to the future, it is clear that the ongoing contributions of immigrants will continue to be a foundation of Australia's economic success. Now, to my second point. We must consider the profound impact immigrants have on our nation by bringing a wealth of diverse skills and experiences. Their varied backgrounds enrich our cultural embroidery, creating a more vibrant and dynamic society. The benefits extend beyond economic gains. Immigrants create a society that fosters greater cultural understanding and empathy. Additionally, modern Australia stands as a testament to the success of multiculturalism, a cultural diversity that is not merely at the core of our national character. It is the foundation of our identity, woven intricately with the rich heritage of Australia's First Nations people. On Harmony Day 2023, the ABC emphasised our nation's exceptional status as one of the most successful multicultural countries on earth. This recognition is not just a point of pride. It is a responsibility we must honour and build upon. The presence of immigrants in Australia enriches our society in invaluable ways. It is imperative that we continue to nurture and support this diversity, for it is through our collective strength that we will achieve a future marked by unity, creativity, and prosperity. So, Madam Chairman, ladies and gentlemen, immigrants are the essence of Australia's success across many domains, bringing a wealth of diverse experiences, ideas, and skills that drive our economic growth and enrich our cultural tapestry. As Bill Clinton once said, immigration is not just a policy, it is a testament to the enduring promise of a better future. By embracing our promise, we secure a brighter and more inclusive future. Let us celebrate immigration, for it is through our unity and diversity that we will achieve our greatest triumphs. Thank you.
I call upon the first negative speaker, Fatima Rizwan.
Good afternoon, Chairperson, ladies and gentlemen. The topic of our debate is that immigration is good for Australia. We agree with the affirmative team's definition. However, considering their interpretation of the topic, we would like to reinforce the significance of the present tense verb is, denoting that this topic is set in Australia's current context. We, the negative team, believe that this statement is undeniably false. As first speaker, I will explain the incredible strain Australia's current intake of immigrants is placing on our infrastructure and how our housing markets cannot support the influx. Tomorrow, our second speaker will explain the degradation of social cohesion due to our current immigration policy and highlight the flaws in a very broken system. Claire, our third speaker, will rebut and sum up our team's case. The first speaker of the affirmative team has tried to tell you that immigrants will enhance the economy of Australia. Well, if the economy was so positively affected by immigrants, then why is it not being reflected into the lives of Australians? There is a cost of living crisis right now with people struggling to survive. The affirmative team has neglected to synthesize that economic growth needs to be discussed with economic productivity, which is in fact stagnated by our immigration policy. The affirmative team has also stated that immigrants can start small businesses, but this current economic climate is not the right motivator for this at all. Matt Cody, South Australian MP, states South Australia is descending into an economic slowdown on the back of the highest inflation rate in the country. I have 2 points. My first point is that Australia's current intake of immigrants is placing an incredible strain on our infrastructure. The Australian Department of Home Affairs points to the intake of 200,000 annual immigrants on average as the reason for stagnated infrastructure. In urban areas, public transport systems are overwhelmed, leading to longer commute times and increased congestion of 500 hours per month to 4,000 hours. As a car-reliant nation, Australia's intake of immigrants is only increasing pressure on travel time, with 64% of people barely arriving to their destination, according to Australian Institute of Family Studies. Without addressing transport capacity, increasing arrivals will only further degrade Australia's already fragile system. Let's talk healthcare, specifically ramping. Ramping is when a patient's care is delayed for more than 30 minutes, according to SA Health. The Ambulance Employees Association gives an example of an 83-year-old woman ramped in an ambulance for more than 12 hours outside the Royal Adelaide Hospital. The unsustainable situations of emergency departments across Australia have contributed to a 92% extended waiting time, the patient claimline states. The ABC has also documented the coronial inquest into 3 unrelated deaths of South Australians who died after waiting on the doorstep of emergency departments due to ambulance ramping. This pressure on our healthcare system does not just have a human cost. The advertiser states that it adds up to $5.2 million in wasted paramedic wages annually. The ratio of healthcare professionals to patients is more inadequate than before. The rapid population growth, driven largely by immigration, adds strain to the already existing problems with Australian infrastructure. Given our current context, adding 200,000 people will overwhelm our strained systems, which are already stretched to capacity. My second point is that immigration is not good for Australia, given our current housing crisis. Hypothetically, a single Australian mother of 3 gets evicted from her home for being unable to pay her landlord's ridiculously high rent. She, as a last resort, takes her suitcases to a share house where many families live together under one roof. There she meets an Indian immigrant family who are also unable to find rentals due to high prices. Hypothetical in my speech, but the looming reality for 70% of Australians. National Housing Finance and Investment Corporation projects a shortage of 175,000 homes by 2027. Australia's housing supply has drastically lagged behind population growth, intensifying pressure on homes. Rental vacancy rates in metropolitan areas are at historic lows of 1.5%, while prices have skyrocketed due to demand outstripping their supply. The financial burden of securing low-cost housing is felt by 9.6 million Australians when low-cost housing no longer exists and families need to earn $135,700 per year to secure a mortgage for a 3-bedroom house. Forbes Australia adds that the median weekly rent of all of Australia is currently $601, making the average monthly rent $2,600. It is clear to see how bringing 200,000 immigrants into the country annually is only making the housing crisis worse. So, audience, immigration only worsens current pressures on infrastructure and housing. Right now, immigration is not good for Australia. Thank you.
I call upon the second affirmative speaker, Sachi Siraj.
Good afternoon, Madam Chairman, ladies and gentlemen, and our wonderful immigrants who have added spice to our lives, both literally and figuratively. The topic for today's debate is that immigration is good for Australia. We, the Affirmative team, believe that immigration is the passport to prosperity for Australia. I will start by addressing the flaws in the negative team's arguments. The first negative speaker claims that immigration puts a strain on healthcare services. According to the Australian Bureau of Statistics, most immigrants are healthy and young, reducing immediate healthcare demands. Additionally, with Australia's ageing population, immigrants play a crucial role in balancing demographic shifts. I will further discuss this with my point. They have also claimed that immigration strains housing and infrastructure. While it increases demand, it also drives economic growth. A 2023 research from the National Bureau of Economic Research shows that immigrants can boost local economies by up to 9%, resulting in more housing development. Effective policies like expanding affordable housing can address these challenges. Cities like Toronto and Vancouver experienced 20% housing growth after implementing such measures, highlighting that the benefits of immigration outweigh the strains. Our first speaker has already discussed how immigrants contribute to the economy by embarking on entrepreneurial ventures. She has also highlighted how immigrants bring diverse skills and experiences, creating a more bright and vibrant society. Today, I will discuss 2 thoroughly investigated arguments. Ladies and gentlemen, today we stand at the crossroad of Australia's future. Will we choose to embrace the world's best and brightest, or will we succumb to the forces of isolation and decline? My first point is that Australia's ageing population is a ticking time bomb with catastrophic consequences if we don't act now. According to the Australian Bureau of Statistics, by 2030, a staggering 25% of our population will be over 65 years old. That's 1 in 4 Australians, or roughly the entire population of New South Wales. According to the Department of Health and Aged Care, as of mid-2023, over 50,000 older Australians were on the waitlist for aged care facilities. Attracting skilled immigrants to the aged care workforce is essential to meet this growing demand. Our workforces are shrinking, our tax bases are dwindling, and our aged care systems are on the brink of collapse. Furthermore, the Productivity Commission warns that our ageing population could lead to a dramatic 3.5% decline in gross domestic product by 2050, costing $60 billion annually. This is a stark projection that contrasts sharply with the optimistic vision presented by my first speaker, who highlighted how immigration is set to drive gross domestic product growth to $11.6 trillion. To avoid this financial decline and ensure a prosperous future, embracing immigration is not just good, it's not even just beneficial, it's essential. In regional Australia, this crisis is even more acute. With younger Australians leaving for cities, regional towns are facing significant labour shortages. In fact, a 2023 study by the Regional Australia Institute found that immigrants make up over 40% of the aged care industry in regional areas. But there's a second, equally vital reason to embrace immigration. It allows us to build bridges between nations, fostering global connections and relationships. In a world where global challenge requires collective action, we cannot afford isolation. In fact, a study by Pew Research Centre found that countries with higher level of immigration are more likely to be seen as global leaders and have a positive influence on the world stage. And let's be honest, who wouldn't want to be seen as a global leader? As we look to the future, it's clear that the world is moving towards a borderless society. As the founder of the World Economic Forum, Klaus Schwab, once said, "The future is a world without borders, where people, goods, and services can move freely." By embracing immigration, we're creating a generation of global citizens who will strengthen our connections to the world and drive our success in the decades to come. So, Madam Chairman, ladies and gentlemen, the moment of decision is upon us. Will we erect walls that divide and isolate us, or will we build bridges that connect and unite us? Will we choose to retreat into the fear of the unknown, or will we embrace the boundless possibilities that come with welcoming new perspectives? The future of Australia depends on this choice. Let's not be architects of the walls, but visionaries who build bridges. Thank you.
I call upon the second negative speaker, Tamara Jenna.
Australia's immigration system is broken. It is unstrategic. It is expensive, complex, and slow. It is not delivering for business, for immigrants, or for our population. Good afternoon, Chairperson, ladies and gentlemen. The topic for our debate is that immigration is good for Australia. We, as the negative team, wholeheartedly disagree with this statement. The quote I just opened with was from Claire O'Neill, former Minister for Home Affairs, and it captures the essence of the arguments that I will be making today. But first, let's address the flaws in the affirmative team's argument. The first affirmative speaker has tried to tell you that immigration enriches Australia with cultural diversity. However, it also leads to challenges in social cohesion, as I will expand on later in my second point. In many cases, high levels of immigration have been linked to social tension and integration issues. For instance, the Australian Bureau of Statistics reported that areas with high immigration rates experience greater social fragmentation and difficulties in community integration. The second affirmative speaker has tried to tell you about how immigration can help with Australia's ageing population. However, immigrants also age, and in the future, they will retire as well. Instead of bringing in an ageing group of people, we should focus on solving core issues with why people are choosing not to have kids. Fatima has already explained the strain that Australia's current intake of immigrants is placing on infrastructure and the issues with immigration given our current housing crisis. Today, I have 2 points. My first point is that Australia's deeply flawed immigration system is underutilising the skills of immigrants and not giving our country what we need, exacerbating skill shortages. The question we must ask ourselves is this: if we are bringing over 200,000 immigrants to our country every single year, are they bringing the skills and capabilities that we need to drive our nation forward and target the specific economic, environmental, and geopolitical challenges that we face? Well, Claire O'Neill, who I mentioned earlier, explained that only around 1 in 6 of those 200,000 have the skills that our country is so desperately crying out for. And not only are many underskilled, but the skills they do bring are often underutilised and wasted. A study done by ISS revealed that approximately 44% of immigrants in Australia are employed in roles below their skill level, equating to more than 620,000 skilled workers who are not having their qualifications recognised. For example, we have a desperate shortage of nurses, yet an overseas trained nurse practitioner can pay up to $20,000 and take 35 months to get their qualifications recognised. We have a skill shortage of engineers, yet Engineers Australia estimates around 100,000 qualified engineers in Australia are working as Uber drivers or other occupations that just do not match their skills. So for the most part, continuing to accept a large influx of new immigrants every single year is becoming highly counterproductive. To quote economist Leith Van O'Nelson, the fact that Australia's population has surged by 8.2 million people this century alone, yet skill shortages are worse than ever, demonstrates the fallacies of Australia's supposedly skilled immigration system. To move forward as a society, we need to focus on upskilling our own population and adopting whole system reform for immigration, because our current system is failing immigrants and it is failing our country. My second point is that immigration is leading to social and cultural tensions due to society's perception of immigrant communities. Since the COVID-19 pandemic, we have been hearing the word crisis in the media a lot. Housing crisis, rental crisis, cost of living crisis. And the fact is, when our systems are under pressure and our way of life is threatened, immigrants are used as scapegoats for the causes of these systemic failures. We are seeing this on a national scale, with people such as Peter Dutton blaming the housing crisis on immigration. We all know this not to be true. We know that immigration is exacerbating system failure rather than causing it. But when someone like the leader of the Liberal Party speaks up, millions of Australians listen. In a 2023 polling by the Lowy Institute, 54% of respondents expressed anti-immigration sentiments, reflecting a 14% rise from the previous year. This overall negative perception around immigration can have dangerous and negative outcomes due to what sociologist Simon Borman describes as migration panic, hostility towards immigrants that unfortunately leads to events such as the recent UK riots. In the aftermath of a tragic stabbing attack administered by a 17-year-old at a Taylor Swift event, online spread of misinformation about the boy's immigrant background triggered violent riots instigated by the far-right and anti-immigrant communities that created massive social and economic costs for UK society. Definitely not something that we want to be making an example of here in Australia. We fail to recognise the discontent and resentment around a broken immigration system, with immigrants becoming the scapegoats for hatred and persecution. So, Chairperson, ladies and gentlemen, we, the Negative team, firmly stand by the notion that immigration is not good for Australia. Thank you.
I call upon the third affirmative speaker, Gianna Diaz.
Good afternoon, Madam Chairman, ladies and gentlemen. The topic for our debate is that immigration is good for Australia. We, the Affirmative team, wholeheartedly agree with this statement. I will begin by addressing the flaws within the Negative team's speeches. The first Negative speaker contends that immigrants place a disproportionate burden on healthcare services, which reduces the quality of services for all. However, recent evidence from the Australian National University indicates that immigrants typically have lower rates of healthcare utilisation compared to native-born Australians, and their health costs are often overall lower. Additionally, a report by the McKell Institute shows that immigrants contribute significantly to the healthcare funding through taxes, thereby supporting and maintaining the quality of services. Furthermore, immigrants actually play a crucial role in addressing shortages in the healthcare workforce, which helps improve access to and quality of healthcare services. Therefore, the idea that immigrants degrade healthcare quality is not substantiated by current data. The first negative speaker also argues that increased immigration puts additional pressure on the housing market, leading to higher property prices and rent. This, however, does not fully consider the broader economic context. Research by the Grattan Institute shows that while immigration does raise household demand, it also boosts economic growth, leading to job creation and increased household incomes. This, in turn, helps offset potential rent increases. Moreover, immigrants contribute to the construction and housing sectors, which can lead to more housing supply and diversified development. According to the Australian Housing and Urban Research Institute, this dynamic helps counterbalance housing affordability issues by revitalising neighbourhoods and stimulating economic activity. Therefore, the negative effects on housing can be mitigated through other means rather than being an inherent drawback of immigration. The second negative speaker has raised concerns about difficulties in integrating immigrants into the workforce and society, leading to potential social tensions. However, as outlined by our second speaker, immigration has a net positive effect on Australia, and research shows that diverse teams drive higher innovation and productivity. This also overlooks how targeted policies can effectively address these issues, as evidenced by successful programs in countries like Canada. For instance, Canada's immigrant integration strategy focuses on language training, job placement services, and community support, which has been credited with high immigration employment rates and strong economic contributions. This demonstrates that well-designed policies can mitigate integration challenges. The second negative speaker also argues that immigrants don't bring enough skills. My first speaker's entire point rebuts this statement. She highlighted that 41% of the STEM workforce, including engineers and doctors, are immigrants. This clearly shows that the negative speaker's point is invalid. The second negative speaker also argues that high immigration levels are unpopular among certain segments of the Australian population, reflecting societal concerns and resistance. However, isn't it worth questioning why we prioritise public and media opinion on immigration, especially when it may be shaped by misinformation rather than facts? I'd like to note that public opinion and media opinions can evolve as people experience the benefits of immigration firsthand. A study by the Scallon Foundation shows that while initial resistance may exist, support for immigration increases as people witness its positive impact on the economy and cultural diversity. Therefore, while some resistance exists, it doesn't outweigh the substantial long-term advantages that immigration brings to Australia. I will now summarise my team's case. Tonight, we, the Affirmative team, argued several compelling points. Our first speaker outlined how immigration is crucial to Australia's economy, with over 30% of the population born overseas, significantly contributing to Australia's gross domestic product and small businesses, discussing how immigrants fill skill gaps and drive innovation. She also highlighted how immigrants' diverse backgrounds enrich Australian culture, fostering a vibrant multicultural society. Our second speaker spoke to you about how Australia's ageing population is a looming crisis, with 25% over 65 by 2030, risking a 3.5% gross domestic product decline and straining aged care. So, Madam Chairman, ladies and gentlemen, to conclude, do we really think the heartbeat of our country's future is considered negative? Renowned American historian and author Howard Zinn wisely observed, "The history of any country begins in the distant past, but the future of that country is forged in the present." Our commitment to immigration is not just about addressing today's challenges, but about building our futures. So, ladies and gentlemen, we mustn't fail to recognise that our true potential lies in not only our unity, but our diversity. Let's continue to accept immigration. Thank you.
I call upon the third negative speaker, Claire Lee.
Good afternoon, Chairperson, ladies and gentlemen. The topic for our debate is that immigration is good for Australia. We, the negative team, undoubtedly believe that this statement is false. The first affirmative speaker has stated that immigrants benefits the Australian economy. They are wrong because the benefits immigrants bring to the economy is not prominent in broader statistics according to the Pew Research Centre, and according to the National Bureau of Economic Research, the short-term implications of immigration leads to wage suppression and increased job competition. Professionals say that this approach of relying on immigrants masks gaping issues with productivity stagnation. Relying on immigration for economic growth is just a quick fix, like slapping a band-aid on a bruise. Instead, we should focus on increasing per capita productivity. She also mentioned that immigrants can enrich our society by participating in communities. A lot of immigrants stay in their ethnic communities even until late years of their life, according to the Journal of the Dynamics of Culture among older immigrants in Australia. There is an obvious language barrier for most immigrants, and they tend to form connections more with people who speak their tongue, compared to Australian residents who they cannot communicate freely. Therefore, their point does not stand. The second affirmative speaker stated that immigration balances the demographics since Australia has a low birth rate and an ageing population. Are we forgetting the fact that immigrants also age? Immigrants are human beings, not Peter Pans. They don't stay youthful forever. Today's immigrants are tomorrow's retired people, and relying on a steadily increasing stream of immigrants is literally a pyramid scheme. The affirmative team, in lieu of an actual solution to the decreasing population age, seems to be suggesting that we just bring in more immigrants. This means we are relying on exponential population growth, which is impossible. Pyramid schemes rely on the bottom to expand continually. Should this growth stop, the pyramid will collapse. In this context, the pyramid is Australia. The second speaker also tried to tell you that Australia can form global connections through immigration. If immigration and immigrants are not managed properly, it is easier for it to become the cause of political tension. 2020 saw a surge in organised crime by New Zealand immigrants, and therefore Australia established a deportation policy. This saw great complaints from New Zealand, and the Australian Institute of International Affairs points to this as a reason why diplomatic tensions between Australia and New Zealand were at an all-time high. Immigration is certainly not a one-way ticket to establish global connections, but can certainly be a ticket to political dispute with even the countries we are most friendly with. The first and second speaker has tried to say that cultural enrichment is happening in Australia due to immigration. The affirmative team fails to acknowledge that in order to have a multicultural society, people need to be willing to accept different cultures. If I ask any immigrant in this chamber from a predominantly non-white country whether more people have been interested in learning about their culture or interested in making fun of them for their culture, they would probably say the latter has happened more often. This is pointed to migration panic, as our second speaker Tamara has already mentioned to you. How is cultural enrichment achieved when the objective reality shows that immigrants and Australians are in fact socially divided? The third affirmative speaker has tried to say that immigrants may come to Australia and they may build houses. Yeah, sure, they may do that, but they also may have nowhere to stay when building said houses. Where are they going to stay when they're building the houses? The half-finished houses that they're building? Are they going to join the 7,000 plus homeless people in South Australia due to the cost of living story? She also keeps correlating economics with housing when both systems are failing. The economy of Australia is not the best, and the housing system of Australia is also not the best, as we have mentioned before in our speeches. She also says that support for immigrants will increase. Can you go and say that to the Muslim community who got blamed by people just because a man with a beard stabbed someone in Bondi Junction at the start of this year? They keep on saying this is going to improve, this is going to be better. Well, we're talking about the current system, not what may happen in the future. Our third speaker, Fatima, spoke to you about how our current infrastructure and housing markets are unable to accommodate current immigration trends. Until we see a healthcare reform, improved transport systems, and a solution that helps addressing soaring house and rental prices, immigration is not good for Australia. Our second speaker, Tamara, told you about how our current immigration policy threatens to degrade social cohesion and how there are flaws in the immigration system Australia uses. Our own government has been addressing the need for immigration policy reform since 2022, indicating that the flaws in this lengthy, costly, and inefficient systems are not meeting the needs of the country or the needs of skilled immigrants looking for a better life. So, Chairperson, ladies and gentlemen, in conclusion, because we, the negative team, stand by Australians, Australia, and immigrants, we understand that the issue of immigration is more nuanced and complex than the case presented by the affirmative. We are so incredibly proud to reject the notion immigration is good for Australia. Thank you.
I now call upon a representative of the adjudication panel to come forward and award the debate.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you all for coming today. For both teams, I hope you guys feel really proud of your achievements. It's an incredible achievement to make it to Parliament House and to the grand finals. So regardless of the outcome, I want you guys to be really proud of yourselves. So as a panel of 5 today, we won't be giving any feedback, and it is majority rules with us today. The 2 of you made us work hard this afternoon. But let me just go over it one more time. We want to award the winner. It was a split decision, 2-3, but the win today is going to the negative team. So congratulations, Norwood.
I call upon the member of the runner-up team to give a vote of thanks.
Thank you to everybody who came here today to support us. Thank you to the coaches and all our parents. Thank you to the negative team. You guys did amazing. Congrats on your win. Thank you to all the adjudicators for coming here today, and to the chairperson and timekeeper.
I call upon a member of the winning team for a second vote of thanks.
I want to first of all thank the Affirmative team for putting up such a good debate. I also want to thank Debating SA. Thank you for providing us the vessel to express critical thinking and creative thinking. Thank you to our families. Miss Betteridge, you've helped us in so many ways. And of course to my teammates. We also have 2 other teammates, Jen and CJ. They're in Germany. So thank you to everyone. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your attendance. I now declare this debate closed.